Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the movie Beetlejuice that I had recorded off of like Freeform or whatnot, because they're doing all the different kind of like Halloween movies, and I'm like, okay, I didn't have a good time with Beetlejuice, let me see this one. The first one, because I have more memories of it. I also remember the kind of cartoon and everything. However, I didn't enjoy this one. It's really kind of weird. Like, there were parts that I liked, but it almost felt almost kind of Michael Bay-ish, where they had certain kind of set pieces set up, like the whole thing with Deo, and the whole kind of dancing and possession thing with that, and the stuff at the end with, like, Lydia Dietz dancing and everything, and just certain things that just didn't make sense, and I'm like, alright. Like, this is called Beetlejuice, but the main kind of action for Beetlejuice doesn't really happen until, like, the last 20-some minutes or whatnot. I mean, this is a 92-minute movie, and we follow more of the Maitlands of Adam and Barbara more than Beetlejuice. Where am I here? Yes, Adam and Barbara. So we're in Connecticut. We see them kind of, like, dealing with this house, and he's making this model of the town. She's just doing her stuff around the house and everything. And this asshole Jane is pretty much trying to get them to sell the house because they don't have a big enough family for it. I'm just like, you are a pestering asshole. Fuck you. So they decide to go into town. They're doing like a 2-week staycation at home kind of thing before it was pretty much called staycation. And they pretty much just drive in. She drives them into actually their shop. I didn't know that they were the Maitlands until kind of later on. I'm like, oh, okay. Talking to this old dude for a little bit, but he just goes in, gets the kind of stuff, and they're kind of driving out. And we see this one dog kind of freaks them out. They kind of drive out into this covered bridge and accidentally hit off. This dog pretty much intentionally kills them or whatnot. It's not like this board. It's like, fuck you people. And then walks off. They get into this kind of river. It's looking down. It's like, what the f? It's like, yep. And we see that they die because they get back home. They're like, I don't remember getting back home. The fire's on. She kind of gets lit on fire a little bit. We see the recently deceased. Let me see. Handbook for the recently deceased. And this should be this kind of tome thing, but it's not really that well fleshed out. It's like, okay, we've got lore, we got a Bible, but what the fuck's kind of going on? Because Adam tries to leave the house, but essentially gets transported to Saturn, where there's like sandworms, and Barbara kind of pulls him back and she's like, you were gone for like 2 fucking hours, man. It's like, I don't know what's kind of going on here. They, of course, realize that they drowned in the river and they're ghosts. And then they start seeing that things start kind of going gnarly. Their house is sold to like this couple from New York, the Dietzes. Let me see. Charles, a former real estate developer, and his second wife Delia, and Winona Ryder as Lydia. And Otho is like the interior designer, so they start going around and pretty much putting it to her kind of shtick, and that she's an artist. And we get that this one dude later on is like, I've been her agent, and she's lost money on every fucking thing. Whatever, man. So they're kind of going around. The Maitlands are like, this is bullshit. And they're attempting to try and figure out how to kind of like scare them and whatnot. They also look into the handbook and see the whole thing with Beetlejuice. And are trying to figure out how to kind of like figure out what's kind of going on here. They've only been like dead like a couple months or whatnot, but then they get into the waiting room. They forgot their handbook. They kind of get set up, and it's like, oh yeah, you got to wait this long of a time. You have to stay in your house for 125 years for some reason before moving on. Which it's like, why? Like, I don't need a complete in-depth explanation, but it's, like, kind of an arbitrary thing. And we're like, we see these people in this waiting room where it's like, how does, like, Beetlejuice kind of, like, get around this whole kind of thing? They kind of get in there, and they learn that 3 months have passed. We see this thing of, like, exorcise souls, which is death for the dead. Let's see. And they then, of course, link up with Juno. And she's like, yeah, you got to get these fuckers out. Like, but you got to do it yourself. Don't do Beetlejuice. A former assistant turned freelance bio-exorcist. So, okay, you know how an exorcist would get ghosts out of a house? This is a ghost that gets people out of the house. It's like, okay, that's a kind of cool concept. And of course, it's like Rumpelstiltskin. It could only be summoned by entering his name 3 times, like Bloody Mary kind of stuff as well. Telling the Maitlands to try and like get them out themselves. They're trying to do sheets and everything. They do death kind of stuff. They try and do these kind of whole faces kind of thing. But the only person that could really see him is Lydia. And they pretty much just have a nice little thing kind of going. Like, okay, they at least talk to her. And her mother is just trying to do like this dinner party and stuff. They do invoke Beetlejuice, and he's just like being a complete and utter asshole. It's like, okay. And they're like, fuck you, man. And they pretty much are able to do the rule of 3 to pretty much get themselves out of the model. I don't know how he was able to kind of possess it at first, but evidently that's not really important to the plot. So this is, of course, where they do the dinner party with the Deo kind of thing. And it's like, instead, the whole plan kind of backfires because they're like, yeah, they should be running out right now. And instead, they're trying to make money off of this. It's like, oh, okay. And Juno tries to tell him that, like, oh, you really shouldn't have been photographed. It's like, what? Like, didn't you read the handbook? It's like, what are the rules? What's going on here? Like, there's a lot of stuff going on. And I'm like, okay, can we, like, have the rules when it's, like, not plot relevant, so that way we can figure it out when it's plot relevant? It's almost like the reverse level kind of stuff of John Wick, where we understand the rules and everything and the consequences that come out of certain kind of things going on. You don't conduct business on the continental grounds. We see the ramifications of that. It's like, is there a reason they're supposed, like, the living is not supposed to know that there's, like, life after death or shit? Like, what are the ramifications? What the fuck's up with the sandworm? Because we need it later in the plot, pretty much. As we see later on. So they essentially tried to pretty much make this into a thing to try and like get everything kind of going on, like make money off of this shit and everything. Lydia's like, they're kind of depressed because you guys aren't scared. This is also in regards to the agent dude who's like, fuck this, whatever, I'm out. And, what is his name? Robert Goulet? Robert Goulet's in this as Maxie Dean. Pretty much Charles's duties trying to get down there to even buy up more kind of real estate in the town. I'm like, I think he would do it anyway just to have it, to do shit and to make more money off of it. Let's see. Barbara and Adam pretty much then get berated for releasing Beetlejuice. She almost utilizes Beetlejuice to get into the afterlife. However, the Maitlands come back and be like, hey, you kind of don't want that shit. Of course, the Maxie Dean dude wants evidence of this whole thing kind of going on. However, Otto has stolen the handbook of the deceased and is like, yeah, I kind of got this shit. Lydia's like, I'm not fucking utilizing them like this. And then he starts doing this whole thing, and I don't even, like, he's doing stuff out of the handbook that... This is really kind of weird. It's a handbook for the recently deceased that somehow has some kind of exorcism spell in it. Because he starts trying to do this kind of thing that would kind of like show off the Maitlands. However, it starts kind of exorcising them somehow because they're put into their wedding garb and they start turning into like the lost souls that are exorcised from the place. I don't know why that this is happening. Like, why would you give a handbook to the recently deceased where they could essentially exorcise themselves? I don't know. It's mainly in regards to, like, the plot needs that this is an existential threat to the Maitlands, so Lydia must make a deal with Beetlejuice, call him into effect, to throw Robert Goulet through a fucking ceiling to then disappear and never be heard from again, and then attempting to steal her away by marrying her? I'm just like, eh. So the Maitlands pretty much get saved by Beetlejuice by doing the one thing that just gets rid of pretty much Robert Goulet. And, we see that they're attempting to banish Beetlejuice. However, instead of saying his name, Barbara pretty much gets, like, teleported by Beetlejuice to Saturn, and she just rides a sandworm through kind of dimensions for some odd-ass reason, because every time we've seen it, you close a door on the thing, it doesn't get out of Saturn into Earth, but it just fucking eats Beetlejuice here, and they're just like, alright. So, the house gets put back to how the Maitlands had it, and they kind of live peacefully with the Dietzes. Lydia getting good grades on one thing and being like, I'm not dissecting a frog on another, and doing the whole kind of like shake, shake, shake Sonara kind of thing. And the thing is, Juno, when she called in the Maitlands to berate them, there was a team of football players that was killed, and they for some reason pop up at the end. It's like, why? As they're dancing with Lydia, and it's like, I don't mind that it's happening, but it's very much on the Michael Bay level of, this is cool, and I want to do it. And I was like, I got strong Taika Waititi vibes of like, okay, they let Tim Burton do whatever he wanted. Okay. I get that more on Beetlejuice, where it just went, and it's like, okay, there's a little tighter rein here, almost of the Thor Ragnarok to Thor Love and Thunder, but it's a smaller kind of gap, because it's not like, oh, okay, this is how it should work, and then it's like, whoa, it's really kind of weird. I'm like, okay, Beetlejuice kind of is in kind of effect. Juno utilized a whorehouse pretty much to kind of like distract his fucking ass, but he really wasn't in it as much as I thought he was, which is very fucking odd. Now, most of the time, this is the first time I sat through and watched it through all the way through, from beginning to end, even though, of course, there was ads and shit that I had to fucking buzz through. Most of the time, I would just catch it kind of similar to Hocus Pocus. So this is a really interesting thing. If you've got a lot of cult classics that like pop on, and you've seen like the good bits, sit down and kind of watch it all the way through. Hocus Pocus still survives and does a good job of what it does on its own. It's like, okay, cool. Whereas when I watch this, I'm like, it's kind of all over the place and going from like set piece to set piece that they kind of want, rather than doing a complete kind of coherent a narrative as possible. It's like, okay, gotta do this, 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 and then we just kind of like plot demandsy that things kind of happen, so that way we get this plot that we want. It's like, okay, but you could do this a little bit more organically. I would almost think that that Beetlejuice would have been more of an antagonistical force, but it's actually more the Maitlands versus the Dietzes, and then Beetlejuice is just utilized as some kind of cudgel kind of thing, to kind of beat one or the other, because Beetlejuice was popped up and pretty much almost like would have probably severely injured Charles Dietz, and this produced some friction between Lydia and the Maitlands. But if you came into this thinking it was just a Beetlejuice movie, I wouldn't blame you for being like, what the fuck? Alec Baldwin? Why are we following this couple? And they're kind of learning about being dead, but kind of not. I kind of want more exploration and everything with this handbook, and like actually like there's a lot of comedy that could be there. Like, this thing is built strangely, and them trying to do certain kind of things, but it's got to come up against with what's going on with the Dietzes coming in and changing it into this whole kind of thing for themselves. It's like, yeah, that's kind of what you do with a house. In certain kind of instances, you just make it to what you want, depending upon what you're able to afford. But evidently, Charles must have been really good at his job if Delia wasn't able to make really any money as an artist. And Lydia then, of course, was like trying to pretty much like kill herself because of everything kind of going on with the Maitlands. And then we don't know exactly the rules. So, like, the marriage between Beetlejuice and Lydia, if that would have gotten him out of the afterlife or anything like that. It kind of has to explain why that's kind of going on, or if he's like taking the life force of Lydia and kind of transferring, kind of like what we kind of had in Beetlejuice. It's just really kind of odd. I thought I would like this more, and I do like it more than Beetlejuice. But I was kind of surprised at like how loosey-goosey it kind of was plot-wise, and I'm like, alright, and how like Beetlejuice didn't factor in as much as I thought or remembered. I'm just like, alright. So, I really wouldn't... I'd only recommend this if you're like going for like the kind of set pieces and understanding what's kind of going on. I mean, Michael Keaton does a great job of being a disgusting asshole as Beetlejuice. The Maitlands and Lydia, like the actors do a very fine job of everything kind of going on. It's mainly down to the core concept and the world building and the lore building of what's kind of going on with the plot, where it's like, okay, each of these plots needed to be executed better and threaded better together to work out. It's where like, like there's a lot more stuff that I want to know about or learn about, and they just kind of go like, I just want to do this and do shrimp hands and stuff. I'm like, alright, cool. You do you. I'm good. So, those are my opinions on the movie. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.